Hey folks, I've got 3 battery-powered weed eaters here. I've got 3 teenage boys and 5 acres, so I figured why don't I buy 3 different ones and see how they work. I'm going to do a review of these. I want to let you know that one of these has a design, what I consider design flaw, or a feature that makes it so difficult to use, it's probably not worth buying. I'll get to that in just a minute. The 3 different weed eaters are the SKIL brand 14-inch Powercore 40 volt, the Kobalt 15-inch 40 volt, and then the Ego 15-inch Power Plus, and it's got this power load feature. And the aspects that I reviewed on this is how long does each battery charge last? How long does it take to recharge the battery? How easy is it to restring the weed eater? How well do they do cutting real heavy brush? And then lastly, how easy they are to use. Now the weed eater that has the design feature I say makes it really difficult to use is this SKIL. And let me show you why, but start with the Ego. The trigger on this Ego, really easy to squeeze, no problem. Barely any tension there. Same with the Kobalt, really easy to squeeze. On the SKIL, I added these felt pads, but there's a lot of spring tension in there, and when I was using it, it had very little power. And then I realized I had to squeeze really hard to get this all the way closed, and to hold it there tired out my hand. After about 5 minutes of using it, I had to take a break and rest my fingers because it was so hard to squeeze it. So to me, that's a real bad one. But let's talk the details I mentioned. As far as battery, how long they last, the Ego lasted 35 minutes on a charge. Did really good, 35 minutes. The Kobalt, I almost got 45 minutes out of a charge when I used this. So that's a good long life, 45 minutes. This one I got less than 25, got 23, 22 minutes on it. So I can't get 25 minutes out of the SKIL. So definitely the edge to the Kobalt. As far as how long the battery takes to recharge, the winner ends up being the Ego. Only takes 45 minutes to get this one fully charged again, and you go back to weed eating. Like this one, while it has the longer battery life, it took nearly 2.5 hours. It takes me almost, it takes 2 hours and 20 minutes to recharge this one. So that's the worst. The SKIL only takes an hour to recharge. So it's starting to redeem itself as far as how long it takes to recharge. Now, as far as how easy it is to reload, I have to give the edge to the Ego. The Ego has a motor in the head here. You put the string through there, and you hold this button in, and it winds itself. And I'll have a link to a video on how to do that, but you can reload the string in 2 minutes on the Ego. Second place is the SKIL. It's actually extremely easy. It's very similar to the Ego, except you spin it by hand, and I have to use 2 hands here, and I can't do that. I'll post a link on how to do it. But almost as easy as that. It's just not motorized, but you can turn this yourself with a string in there, really easy. Coming in last is this Kobalt. It has a way to wind itself, not motorized, but it isn't very easy to do it. And I found that the simplest way to this is the old-fashioned way. Take the head off, put the string in, wind it in there, and put the head back on. I found this one a little bit cumbersome to do. Now, as far as cutting heavy brush, both the Kobalt and the Ego have a high-low switch here where you can really ramp up the power. The SKIL does not have that. These both cut heavy brush well, and I'd give the edge for sure to the Ego because its low feature is about high or so for the Kobalt. So when you crank this up to high, you can really crank pretty much any heavy brush that a gas-powered weed eater would do. So definitely the edge goes to this Ego. The Kobalt does very well in that. The SKIL doesn't do badly. It just doesn't have that long battery life like I mentioned. And then lastly, as far as which one's the most comfortable to use, well, the SKIL is the lightest, and you can tell, and it's very simple to move around. I really like that about it. If I could get the trigger, if I can get a way to make the trigger hold easier, this would be very easy to use. The Kobalt is about 1/2 pound heavier than the SKIL, but very comfortable. I like the shape of the handle. It's well balanced, very easy to use this. This was probably my favorite And then coming in third, this is about a pound heavier than the Kobalt. It's solid. It's got aluminum joint here, whereas the rest of them are plastic. It feels solid, but I had a difficult time making this as comfortable as the other ones. I will say that the Ego, you can adjust the length of the shaft here by moving it in and out here to adjust it however you want. I just couldn't get this one as comfortable as the others, and like I said, probably because it was the heaviest. The SKIL and the Kobalt were both $159. The Ego is $199, so where would I recommend these? Like I said, the SKIL I'd have to put last, and I wouldn't recommend it based on that trigger, but it's not a bad little device with the exception of that. What I would say is, if you have a regular suburban house, you've got a picket fence, and you have light weed eating to do around your house, I think the Kobalt will work great. Long battery life, it's got plenty of power, and if you only need one battery charge, like I mentioned, a typical house, this would be probably all you need, and it's only 159 bucks. If you've got more work to do around your house where one charge probably isn't going to get it done, or you've got a lot of heavy brush, I've got a lot of woods and areas, this Ego does a great job with heavy stuff. Only takes 45 minutes to recharge it. The batteries are interchangeable between all of their stuff. I'd give the edge to the Ego if that's your situation. And if I didn't have enough weed eaters already, I bought a $93 Walmart battery-powered weed eater the other day. Haven't used it much. Once I get a chance to use that, I'll post a review, see how it does. Figure it can't go wrong for 93 bucks. But hopefully this has been helpful. If it has, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.